All right, so I got a new poll for you guys here from Axios, and it's a couple days old, but I wanted to bring it to your attention because this is one of the few examples that we have where it seems like it's a little bit of a good indication or a justification for the things that we are doing and talking about in the message that we are trying to get out there in our frustrations and rejections of our current capitalist system. And so here's the polling results. So America's continued move towards socialism. So just half of younger Americans now hold a positive view of capitalism, and socialism's appeal in the U.S. continues to grow, driven by black Americans and women, according to a new Axios Momentive poll. So here are the details. The pandemic has caused millions of Americans, including many younger Republicans, to reevaluate their political and economic worldview. That's likely because of two factors. One, a renewed focus on deep societal inequalities, and the tangible upsides of unprecedented levels of government intervention. They say, quote, "The pandemic is sure to have a lasting impact for decades to come," said John Cohen, the chief researcher for this group that did this polling. So here are the details. Just 66% of Republicans and GOP leaners aged 18 to 34 have a positive view of capitalism. That kind of blew my mind. 66% of GOP leaners, so young Republicans basically, only 66%, only 2/3 of them have a positive view of capitalism. I mean, that's like the whole selling point of the Republican Party, right? They're fervent capitalists. And so this is even better when you look at the contrast. So this is down from 81% in January of 2019. So 2 years ago, okay, they had 80% of young Republicans on their side in regards to capitalism. Now it's just 66%, almost a 20-point drop-off in 2 years. So, obviously we had the pandemic over the last year, and that might have had a significant amount of sway over some young people as they see how unstable this system is, and you see, average Americans struggling and having to line up in food lines all across the country, people being evicted and thrown out onto the streets. Meanwhile, we have billionaires like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos amassing literally tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions, in addition to their current wealth. So it's very obvious what has been happening over the last year, especially during the pandemic, and why these dramatic shifts would have happened. But still, 81% to 66%, that's absolutely mind-blowing. So they continue. 56% of younger Republicans say the government should pursue policies that reduce the wealth gap, up from just 40% 2 years ago. So again, whatever happened over the last 2 years has significantly had an impact, not just in the country as a whole, but in young Republicans. So that's crazy to me. 56% of younger Republicans say the government should reduce wealth inequality, basically. So even young Republicans understand that there are some flaws within our current system, and they're not just out there licking the boots of the billionaire class. So that's at least somewhat of a good sign. They continue. In 2019, 58% of Americans aged 18 to 34 reacted positively to the word capitalism. That has plunged to 49% today. So now, according to this poll at least, that's a 9% drop off there. So a significant drop off in just a matter of years, but also it's now below half. So now, at least according to this poll, less than half of young Americans have a positive view of the word capitalism. This is absolutely fucking fantastic. Love to see it, okay? No complaints here. Back then, they say, 39% of all U.S. adults, viewed socialism positively, and that is now ticked up to 41%, so making marginal gains there. And socialism has positive connotations for 60% of black Americans, 45% of American women, and 33% of non-white Republicans. Those numbers have grown over the past 2 years from 53, 41, and 27% respectively. So all of those across the board have grown significantly. Okay, so this is absolutely massive. Again, not just for like young lefties like myself, but people who are identifying as Republicans, right? So this is something that goes across the board, but it's specifically obviously hitting with black Americans and with American women. So those are the two categories that are basically leading the charge here and pushing for a more equal or fair distribution of wealth under a capitalist system, or alternatively moving towards a system like socialism. So again, absolutely amazing. They continue. Only 48% of American women view capitalism in a positive light, down from 51% 2 years ago. So again, less than half of American women view capitalism in a positive light. And today, 18 to 34-year-olds are almost evenly split between those who view capitalism positively and those who view it negatively, 49 versus 46%. And 2 years ago, that margin was a gaping 20 points. Let me just read this again. So young Americans basically now have an even view, a almost exactly split view on capitalism, viewing capitalism positively. And 2 years ago, that margin was 20%. 20%. So it was 58 to 38. Now it's 49 to 46. These are absolutely mind-blowing numbers. So again, This just shows you how big of an impact crises like the pandemic and like this the economic devastation that was resulted from it can have on the American people, right? People are not stupid generally. Well, let's take that with a grain of salt. But Americans are generally not that stupid, and Americans can see what's in front of them. And what's been in front of them over the last couple of years has been the revealing of a system where even when it is functioning is incredibly unequal. It's incredibly unsustainable. There's no way that we can have a handful of people who are hoarding wealth that control more wealth than the bottom half of the country, than the bottom majority of the country, and have that be a sustainable system while people are having to line up in food lines during a fucking pandemic and are getting thrown out onto the streets, okay? These are things that every American can look at, regardless of if you identify as a Republican, a Democrat, a lefty, whatever. You should be able to look at this situation and say, this system is not fucking working, right? Maybe we should change something. And so this just is reaffirming the idea that we as American socialists need to keep aggressively pushing for this, okay? We know that the American people have already been on our side for really a long time on most of the policy issues, things like Medicare for all, free public college, canceling student debt, ending the drug war, ending the actual forever wars, et cetera, et cetera. The American people are on our side on all of these policy issues. And now it's just getting them to understand that a lot of the problems that those policy issues would be trying to resolve, a lot of those problems are caused by the capitalist system itself. And so that's our job, is to make them understand the connection point there, and that we actually can move towards a world that is more sustainable, free, and democratic. And that would be a world that we lean towards more socialist ideas instead of the tyrannical capitalist system that we have today. So love to see these results. We'll see as more polling comes out in the future if this trend continues to shift in this direction. But if it does, we're actually winning the battle. So don't give up the fight, guys.